Beyond the idea of right and wrong, there lies a field beyond the idea of right and wrong. There lies a field. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. In the field beyond, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. In the field beyond, I'll meet you there. Beyond the idea of power and control, there lies a field beyond the idea of power and control. There lies a field. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. In the field beyond, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. In the field beyond, I'll meet you there. In the field beyond, I'll meet you
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Lake Chapala Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Michael Swords, serving today as the Service Associate. This afternoon, Bob Kraft will bring in the message. We welcome all of you to Lake Chapala Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, a sanctuary of peace, where we come to not only create our best selves, but also to do the work of creating a beloved community. We come together today as individuals, much like individual pieces of glass or pottery that are different shapes, sizes, and colors, all of which are broken, with jagged, imperfect edges, but always beautiful. While our pieces may not always fit neatly together, it is within this sanctuary, guided by our principles, that we gather together to create a beautiful mosaic. May the brokenness and the beauty you find in one another create peace in this space and fill our hearts with love as we worship together. If you are new and would like to receive our newsletter and other emails, please talk to a member of the welcome team or write us at LCUUF.org. Would members of the welcome team please stand? And of course, whether you are new to our fellowship or longtime participants, Know that you are all welcome and that we are glad you are with us. As is our practice here at LCUUF, if there's anyone who's visiting for the first time or has returned or reconnected with us after a long absence, we would love to know that. So when the mic is ready to be passed, if you are willing, please raise your hand and the mic will be brought to you. We ask that you speak your name into the mic and tell us where you are from. If you are on Zoom, please introduce yourself in the chat box and it will be read aloud in the fellowship.
Hi, I'm Laura Bodine, and I'm from Pittsburgh originally, but I raised my kids in Santa Barbara, and for the last 13 years I've been in Ecuador. So we just came here, and my husband's a friend of Bob's, and we're here to support.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Clay Bodine. I'm Laura's husband, and I'm from Chicago originally, and also was living in Santa Barbara and 12 years in Ecuador, and happy to be in Mexico. So,
Hi, my name is Rebecca, and I'm here mainly visiting from North Carolina.
Do we have any visitors on Zoom this afternoon?
Good afternoon. No one has said they were a visitor on Zoom today, all members.
Welcome to all visitors, members, and friends. Here at LCUUF, each week offers something unique. Reflections from our minister, Reverend Matt Alspel, as well as insights from members and guest speakers. We warmly invite you to return and journey with us through this ever-unfolding landscape of thought, spirit, and belief.
Nature's jazz.
Our chalice lighting words today are by Alice Anacheka Nasman. It's called Grounding in Our Faith. In a time of uncertainty, when everything around us is changing constantly, each day, new developments, rising numbers, changing guidelines, when the world we live in suddenly seems upside down and topsy-turvy. We light our chalice to remind ourselves of our grounding in our faith. We remember that the flaming chalice came into being as a beacon of hope during World War II, a secret symbol that offered help. In the midst of it all, we wrap ourselves in the warm light of a familiar flame, a reminder of the strength that emerges when we come together in community. Now, having lit our chalice, let us sing these words together. Rekindle this light and celebration for the life that we share. Each week we come together to lament with, to celebrate, and to care for one another in our community. We come to this service as whole people, not just Sunday versions of ourselves. Each week we take a few minutes to acknowledge and share what's real in our lives. There is power in the sharing as we hold each other in community. This is a time to briefly share a joy, a sorrow, or a milestone. A sentence or two is enough. We'll begin here in the room, and then include those joining us on Zoom by reading what's been shared in the chat. If something feels important to you, for you to name today, we are ready to listen. Are there any joys, sorrows, or milestones? I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. We're ready. Anybody here in the room? A joy, a sorrow, a milestone?
My name is Dee Dee, and I just want to share my disappointment at what is happening in my country of origin, the United States.
Because Dee Dee said that, I'm going to say something. And anyway, I want to do this here too. It's called The Power of the Whisper. And it's a way that we can find our way back to the source, which is really important, as you were talking about the ragged edges. But where are the edges smooth? And it's when we get out of duality. And so on June 5th and 7th, I'm doing a part 1 series at LCS called The Power of the Whisper. And it's to regulate the nervous system, which includes the brain and the mind. And it has a lot about engaging the parasympathetic system, but not through verbal understanding, through kinesthetic realization. So I'm going over my time. But anyway, you could check that out. And there's another part that's on the 19th and the 26th. And I'd like to do this here too. So if you want more information, just let me know.
My adult son had a terrible skiing accident and is now recuperating in Guadalajara. And I want to share with you like a glass from a car that is broken, but it still remains complete. Sometimes I have the grace of feeling like that. I can feel the brokenness, but I can feel something holding all the pieces together. So I am complete.
I'm Larry, and I just want to let those that are here that might want to go to the greatest 4th of July celebration ever, that we're already sold half the tickets. They're going fast and we're a month away. So if you want to come, don't dilly-dally.
Are there any joys, sorrows, or milestones shared on Zoom this morning?
We do have several. The first joy is from Devora, and she says, "My great joy is that my youngest daughter, Leela, is having an elopement ritual tomorrow in Brattleboro, Vermont, and I get to be the flower crone. Her fiance is from England, so they are having the ceremony to begin the visa process for both of them. A regular wedding will happen in the future." Trudy has also a joy, and she said, "I am full of joy because I will have an adopted grandson in October." And then our third joy is from my husband Scott and myself. We had a lovely visit with our daughter Amy this past week. She just arrived safely back home in California. And a fourth joy is that from Catherine, and she said she's enjoyed 6 weeks in Portland with family, and Eric has been there a month, and they will come back on June 2. So we are a joyful crowd on Zoom today.
This candle, offered by our care team, we light to honor the circle of community, those whose joys lift us, whose sorrows touch us, and the many tender stories held in the silence of our hearts. Let us share a moment of silence. As we know, the work of our fellowship within these walls and beyond takes time, treasure, and talents. Our financial offerings today help sustain this congregation as a place where all voices can be heard, where truth can be spoken without fear, where vulnerability is met with compassion. We give in gratitude for this beloved community with the hope for a world where more voices can speak their truth. As we pass the baskets, if you are new here today, or if you are struggling to hold things together, please let the baskets pass by. Your presence is more than enough and is a gift to us. The morning offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship. Please know that each of the 6 charitable organizations here at Lakeside we donate to twice a year, receiving monies collected at our services. For May, we are shining the light on Poco a Poco. The description is on the monitor. May this offering sustain and grow the life and the work of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope for a better world. Now, if you'd like to rise and join us in our opening hymn, Morning Has Broken.
Praise for the sweetness of those we've guarded, strong in completeness, where His feet lie. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's all play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
I'm Bob Kraft. I've lived in Ajijic since 2010 after coming here from Chicago, where I was a respected psychotherapist, so that my wife of 31 years could live and die in Mexico, which we both love. She lived well for 2 years, then died slowly and gracefully. I grieved mightily, then met and married my current wife, though we are separated now after 8 good years. Emerging from isolation and social distancing after COVID, I realized that my memory and problems with word usage had become worse. I decided I needed help with this, so a psychotherapist and a psychiatrist were recruited. One of them was recommended by someone in this room. I began to recall memories from over my lifetime, and then the fragments I could remember, I would ask Gemini AI to add details and context to from its knowledge base. Since many of my memories had a public aspect that exists in AI databases, it could add information to amplify even more recollections. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. As I wrote and selected images, I found that the exercise was healing for me. Now, other people in this congregation, in our generation, complain about memory difficulties too. So I thought this method might be worth sharing with you. So I kept on going and going and writing and ended up with more than 4 hours of material. Today you'll get a 20-minute slice that illustrates how this might work for you too. AI chat box work effectively in helping individuals retrieve memories. That's my claim. And today I asked you to consider that as bots continue to develop, they are increasingly useful. AI in general may pose a threat to jobs, markets, societal values, even humanity itself. It is important that we use it responsibly and encourage enactment of strong guardrails from the people and from government. We learn about AI and understand the risks best by using it. Our generation has memories that are important to retain. Our memories constitute our identity, our self-worth, and our hopes for the future. The stories that we have lived, we here in this room, illustrate that history is both progressive and cyclical. We are heroic survivors of many turbulent cycles. Some of us may have some early memories related to Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, Roosevelt's day that will live in infamy, but I don't. I know that 4 days later, Hitler and his allies declared war on the US. Thus, we had a war both in the Atlantic and Europe and in the Pacific. I know what I know from my family stories, and they tell a string of events that led my father from his Virginia mountain hometown to clambering down a cable net to drop into a landing craft on July 4th, 1944, to take part in cleansing an island of Japanese soldiers. He saw, and he maybe did, horrible things there. But these men drove off their enemies. They took the airfield that allowed B-29s to land there and to take off, repeatedly striking the Japanese homeland all the way to the point of dropping 2 atomic bombs on helpless humans. That's still a controversial issue among historians and common folk. I'll tell you that my father and his comrades applauded. Simultaneous naval engagement around Saipan began the systematic destruction of Japanese naval power. The Marines and soldiers went on to ravage other islands. My father stayed to tend to the planes and the men. He was a driver of anything with wheels or tracks. He always kept his carbine at hand. Now this is a pastiche of my father's war. He met the first B-29s to arrive. He was chased by a Japanese Zero airplane and shot at and managed just to roll into a ditch to save himself. The only real picture I have of my father on the island is Bobby in a barrel. If you're on the island and you're not working, which you are most of the time, you are resting. And a barrel is a great place to rest. My father's first assignment was burying dead Japanese. Of course, the girls did everything they could to support the boys overseas. Libby, my father's sister on the far left, with my mother, Evelyn, beside her, sent letters to their husbands every day, probably through Hawaii. Maybe they thought they were competing against pretty Hawaiian girls in hula skirts and decided to fight fire with fire. Still, holidays were the hardest. In this photo, I think I'm 1.5, maybe 2.5, but all of the Christmas pictures are like this. There are toys everywhere, yet I am so sad. I don't know whether it is my own sadness or my mother's that I am feeling. Now, I'm not saying that the only thing women did was send letters to the soldiers. Many thousands of women enlisted in the services, performing as nurses, often under fire, as code breakers, secretaries. They even ferried replacement aircraft through dangerous territory. On the home front, Rosie the Riveter there on your left. She is on a famous recruiting poster that activated women to take on what had been men's jobs. By the way, women, this is the beginning of the second wave of feminism. At the bottom, you'll see real riveters. In Chicago, they're fabricating heavy equipment. My own memories begin in this place, Clifton Forge, Virginia, where my mother rented a house with me, of course, on Revere Street from Grandma Annie Williams. Now, the new Google photographs show that the house is just the same as it was. It's on Revere Street. Revere Street is a steep hill running from the heights of this mountain town down to a T intersection. I used to love to watch the big kids ride their sleds in the winter and their scooter cars in the summer down the hill full speed. There were thrilling crashes. Google shows the house now just as it was then. The street, which runs down the hill, that sidewalk that goes by the house, the stairs that come down from our apartment to the sidewalk. The yellow spot is where my sandbox was. And this is the alley along the side with small homes alongside it. And this is my war story, a true story of what happened here. On September 23rd, 1946, I was 3 years and 3 months old. I'm nearly 83 now, but this memory is still sharp and fresh in my mind. So the story, it's a sunny afternoon, and the little girl who sometimes comes to parallel play with me in my sandbox, this time I'm alone. She hasn't come. And suddenly I hear a crack, crack, 2 sharp sounds, then 2 more. 2 men dressed in black dash past me toward a commotion in the alley. I'm just toddling in that direction to see what's going on when my mother scoops me up and hauls me upstairs. Later, there are hushed conversations among the grown-ups. 4 news clips on Ancestry.com, all filed by my grandfather, Robert F. Kraft, who was chief of police at that time. They elaborate on my memory. State Police Sergeant Lambert entered by the front door. Patrolman Swope by the rear. These were the men in black. As Swope entered the back, the child ran out whimpering and bloody. Advancing inside, Swope heard 2 shots. Reaching the front hall, he found, and I'm not using real names here, Davis dead of bullet wounds to the head. Mrs. Davis's body lay in the front yard. Ex-Marine Clark Davis was barely a year past combat service at Okinawa, which was one of the most horrific campaigns of the Pacific War. Just a week before his return, his wife Mavis had filed for divorce, and it had sparked conflict, needless to say, between them. Chief Kraft attributed the shootings to a recurrence of war nerves, PTSD in today's terms. A Marine Corps Gazette article notes that more mental health cases arose from Okinawa than from any other Pacific battle. Now, I give you this horrible image. I tell you this terrible story not because it ends up badly, but because the child, Catherine, took her grandmother's name. She was raised by her grandmother. Everyone in school knew where the scar on her neck came from. But she grew into a charming and seemingly healthy young woman. Though Catherine's loss was a true wartime tragedy, she overcame it and flourished as a productive human being, husband, children, the whole American life. As you sit there, do you know of any similar stories where people were severely challenged but overcame and flourished? As wars do, this one ended. 8 million men returned, wanting their little towns or their little city neighborhoods to be just the same as they had been when they left them. This was not to be. All of these 8 million men were competing for jobs, not finding work at home. My father, mother, aunt, and uncle spent the GI Bill money on a desolate roadhouse 12 miles outside of town. Unfortunately, their endless hard work did not avert its predictable fate. Question: how did your family survive after the war? How did they recover from their experiences? For my family, migrating 250 miles east to where the James River meets the Chesapeake Bay and the ocean, that was the only option for us. In other words, to Hampton Roads, where the ships are built and sent out to the ocean. This is where I now lived. Very strange, very different. This entire 350-unit community was built to house families that built those ships that won the war. When those families moved out, the post-war migrants moved in. How did your family manage after the war? Did you have to move away from home, or could you come back? This next one. Duck and cover drill. Do you remember this one? Duck and cover drills were common in all public schools during the Cold War when we were sure the Russians were going to atomic bomb us. Of course, the kids, at least in our area, knew that what we were doing was just consuming propaganda for us locals. We lived within walking distance of the nation's biggest shipyard and also still the world's largest naval base. We would have been vaporized by the first warheads, especially if they were hydrogen bombs. So we had a saying about the drills. Bend over, put your head between your legs, and kiss your ass goodbye. That you are here, that we are here, demonstrates that we succeeded, not just this image, but the Cold War. Perhaps we even gained strength by existing during the Cold War. Did you take part in this drill? Were you afraid of the Russians? How did you cope during this time and during the whole Cold War? Did these experiences build strength for you? Question. Have my images and stories touched you in any way? Have they stimulated any memories of your own? If so, they have contributed to your own memory recovery. And maybe you can and will write that autobiography you've been putting off forever. Often rephrased and paraphrased, historian George Santayana said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." He's right. I feel strongly that we need our memories and that we need to refresh them from time to time. So having my memories about World War II refreshed, I began to think more deeply about the place of the war in history, the big questions. Don't we all have a kind of intuition that the world has a human-made catastrophe in which millions die just about once every generation? We in the Western world, especially UUs and other fellow traveler leftists, we tend to believe that history is progressive. Eastern tradition, really Hindu and Buddhist tradition, have always had the belief that history is cyclical. Hindu scriptures speak of the end of the Kali Yuga, the dark age cycle, which is marked by extreme moral collapse, rampant corruption, natural disasters, the loss of values. You get the idea. You'll see more rampant society, more lying in society during that time, theft, the breakdown of family structures, and so on. Until the appearance of the Kalki avatar of Vishnu comes back to restore righteousness. Now, some people nowadays are associating that beginning of the transition to somewhere around 2025, 26. You won't read that in the Hindu scriptures, but you will read it in, say, New Age reflections on the Hindu scriptures. It's an awfully convenient date. I hope it's true. So, wondering if it were possible to reconcile the possible progressive and cyclical theories of history, I gave AI a complex prompt to develop and show, using its entire knowledge base, and including both Eastern and Western principles of history, the times when one or the other of two groups were on the ascendant. Either the dominators, the red dots, those who prioritized power and control over others with resultant inequalities for the rest, or the servers, the blue dots, those who seek to serve the common good. Now, like all models like this, it's an oversimplification. I think it's amazing that AI generated this, but it does suggest the way history works. It is cyclical, as in the East, but there's also an upward trend in a progressive direction. The model doesn't prove, but it does illustrate that we have gone through many downturns, many persistent periods of upward advance. I think it supports the thought that those cycles may last longer than we want them to. They do end. And that also, the one that is dominating today's headlines, will also end. Take note, too, of Steven Pinker's book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, Why Violence Has Declined. He argues, contrary to popular belief, that violence has significantly declined over long stretches of history. And despite constant news of conflict, we may be living in the most peaceful era ever. Maybe not short term, but a little longer term. So I do recommend the book. I mean, every page, it's a long book, every page compels you to keep reading, and it will reinvigorate your hope better than doom scrolling. I want to say that for me, AI has been a remarkable tool, an amazing research machine, not a human, not a friend, but a superb means of rediscovering remembrance, preserving memory. Now, will AI cure cancer? I'm so tired of that meme. It will if we, the servers, put our strength behind seeing that the money goes in that direction. I can tell you this. Will it create new jobs? Yes, it will. Will it destroy all the old jobs? I doubt it. I can tell you that there is so much rapid change just in the 6 months of this year so far that there is only one firm consensus. The arrival of AI is as huge as the coming of the internet. It will require us to adapt and to change. Nobody, not even the founders and developers of AI, know what the ultimate outcome will be like. They say that publicly. But I stand behind my belief that we learn AI best by using it. And its aid in reconstructing memories and how we learn from our experiences helps us thrive. Look around this room. Think of all we have overcome in this, our difficult generation. Look around you at all the others here in this congregation. Understand how we have survived and even flourished in spite of these challenges. I look at all of you from up here, and all I see are heroes. Be well and flourish. Thank you. I'll be available outside for anybody who has questions or wants to criticize or say something nice, whatever. See you there if you want to. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Bob. Our closing hymn is For All That Is Our Life. Please rise in body and join us in singing. It'll be on the screen.
Our life, we sing our thanks and praise, for all it is a gift which we are called to use for to build a common good and make our own days glad.
Our closing words are by Thich Nhat Hanh. When you are a young person, you are like a young creek, and you meet many rocks, many obstacles, and difficulties on your way. You hurry to get past these obstacles and get to the ocean. But as the creek moves down through the fields, it becomes larger and calmer, and it can enjoy the reflection of the sky. It's wonderful. You will arrive at the sea anyway, so enjoy the journey. Enjoy the sunshine, the sunset, the moon, the birds, the trees, and the many beauties along the way. Taste every moment of your daily life. Let us extinguish our chalice with these words which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with the whole world. Our worship is over. Our service begins. Go in peace and with a purpose. But before we leave, let's enjoy the postlude.
My skin may be a different shade, my language not the same. I pray in different places. I call God by different names. My clothing may not be like yours, might stand out in a crowd, but in universal spirit, there are differences allowed. We have the precious present, and our present holds the key to a world that is more loving as we share the dream of peace. As we share the dream of peace, imagining the future, remembering the past. Together we can co-create a vision that will last. We have the precious present, and our presence holds the key to a world that is more loving as we share the dream of peace. As we share the dream of peace.